Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off the troubles we had with the move and our parents. And then Olia said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olia refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. Can nightmares become infectious? Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures, cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped into the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside the holes. It was as if some completely different creature were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it, doesn't matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of new offensive names for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider of some sort, or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olia begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine my mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number," or "Anton isn't around." Anton isn't around. I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. Excuse me. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with neighbors' drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners on the closet cobwebs under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my diseased family, with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaky, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception I could hear a flute. It was mixed with the sound of the wind of the creaking old house and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing in the air amidst a cold, snowy night, right? Someone was dancing in the field, black silhouettes I could barely make out with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories of wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment, then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. The shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly, the music stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow of my house, which became ever darker and thicker. Even darker and thicker. Okay. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. Oof. Sorry. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guests move and scrape around looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled my house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with the blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll, ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up to her head and pulling her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she would be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure, and now lying under the blanket and listening to the squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Buyan, under the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair for the spawn from devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placed my chin between them, and drilled the floor with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then the doorknob twitched slightly, then turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the carnivorous mouth of a doorway. Tony? It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling and snared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, "Tony, you asleep?" My sister's pale face protruded from the thick, dark shadows? Something like that. I almost screamed from relief. "Olia, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen?" Olia frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear was tormenting me a minute. That was tormenting me a minute ago. Crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olia down. It's just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olia sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, yes, just a moment. Now those noises are not good noises. Yee. Ooh, that's really cool. Nice animation. Okay, so my time is almost up, so I'm gonna leave this here. I hope you enjoyed, and please leave a like if you did.